Hello, hello. Today is all about learning about embossings. Now, printmaking is a process where you would create some kind of plate, whatever that might be, of some kind of image. And you would initially ink that plate and then transfer that image onto some kind of surface. Could be cloth, could be paper. With embossings, you create your plate and you create it specifically so that the surface is bumpy. So this is a piece of mat board. And all I've done is I've taken a file folder and cut shapes from that file folder. This was an old one that I had from years ago, and I created this kind of leaf. And I still have room where I could add more things to this. Once you've created your plate, you then soak different kinds of paper. You can do different kinds of paper. I like to use, for my test prints, a thinner paper, and then a heavier one, a little bit heavier for my actual prints. You soak the paper first, so that you can put it on top of your plate and then run it through a press. And it compresses the paper, and the water helps more easily move the paper fibers so that it takes on the impression of your plate. So to give you an example of what this looks like, I took my paper and I put it on top. So I think the paper went like this. And you can already see there's a little bit of some bumpiness here. Now if I turn this paper over, and I put it in the light, you can just barely see what that image is. And embossings you'll typically find on business cards, maybe letters. It's a kind of a really cool way to create something that looks really, really nice and well done. So there are some instances where you can add color. I think I did this years ago in college, and I buffed on some color, probably from a printing ink. And so I was able to transfer that image along with some of the color as well. And it kind of is nice to play with a little bit. I think last year we did try playing around with markers, didn't work quite as well. But if you happen to have some paint, if you're working remotely and you happen to have some paint at home and you want to give it a try, go for it. So the first thing you would want to do to create your plate is you want to create some kind of specific size of mat board. And then using an old file folder, you want to cut out the shapes of pieces for your design. So of course you're going to need to know what it is you're going to make in order to start layering that and putting it on. And if the back of this mat board is layer 1, then your first layer here would be 2, and your next layer up would be 3. You can try 4, but 3 seems to work out pretty well, and that's what I had done here. I've got the back of this board, I've got one layer for the candles, and then another layer, which is layer 3 for the melted wax that I put on here. And I've got a couple other ones. This was one that I made that I really enjoy. I call this Irritated Kitty. So we've got Kitty here, and we've got the bones from a fish. Doesn't appear to be any fish left. And a couple ones that were made by students. This one was really cool. Dana Garcia did a beautiful job on this. Let's see if I can tilt it in such a way that you can see it. So it says, America, you great unfinished symphony, which is really beautiful. I don't know if you can read all that there, but she did a really beautiful job and spent a lot of time cutting out those letters. Which looks really stunning. This one here was one that was a little bit more simply done by Hannah, but super cute. We've got this little happy emoji with the fingers and the hearts, and it's just super cute. So they don't take a ton of time to make, and they actually can roll through the press pretty easily. But as an intro to printmaking activity, I like to do this before we start getting deep into ink. So go ahead and give it a try, and I should also mention that when you do this, use just regular stick glue to stick on the file folder, and it's a good idea to seal it up if you've got, thin out a little white paint and just give it a layer over the plate itself. It just seals everything up pretty nicely, and then you'll be good to go. All right? So if you're working remotely, I'm hopeful that maybe you can pop in for at least a half an hour to be able to run your plate through the press, but we'll kind of cross that bridge as we get there. Okay, so have fun with this process.